Good people of Atlanta, we must never forget that Anthony Bourdain killed himself. Anthony Bourdain had the greatest job that show business ever produced. This nigga flew around the world and ate delicious meals with outstanding people. That man, with that job, hung himself in a luxury suite in France. They say 2000 party over, oops, out of time. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999. I knew a nigga in high school that was an urban genius. This motherfucker's grades were so good, he got all the way from the hood to an Ivy League school with a full scholarship. From there, the motherfucker got himself into one of the best law schools in the country. And when he was in law school, he met a woman and they fell in love. And they were gonna get married. I remember him telling me about it. He was home for Christmas. And I told him, I said, my man, save that bitch for later in your life. But he's in love. He didn't listen to me. He married her while he was in law school. And sadly, they got divorced while he was in law school. He was a street nigga from the hood. This man had nothing. And that bitch took half of that. And then I just never saw him again for years. And then 2 years ago, I was home in DC doing some shopping, trying to buy my sons some socks at Foot Locker. I go to Foot Locker, guess who's the manager? That nigga. Dressed like a referee, the whole shit. This motherfucker is 45 years old. We went out drinking that night just trying to catch up, and he told me, he said he's been living with his mother for like 10 years, just trying to get back on his feet. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is, never occurred to this nigga to kill himself. He's alive and well in DC. I even suggested to him that he should try it out. Like, I don't know, nigga, you might Nobody's life is perfect. No matter what it looks like from the outside, you don't know what the fuck's going on inside. I have a great life, but it's not a perfect life. But it's good. My shit's like an above ground pool. You ever seen one of them? Yeah, it's a pool. So in that spirit, tonight, I thought I'd start my show a little differently. Tonight, I'm gonna do something that I'm not particularly good at, but that I like to do. Tonight, I'm gonna try some impressions out. I only got two. All right, the first impression's kind of dumb, but I like it. This is my impression. You ready? This is my impression of the founding fathers of America when the Constitution was being written. You ready? Here it goes. Hurry up and finish that Constitution, nigger. I'm trying to get some sleep. It's not bad, right? All right, the next one. The next one's a little harder. I want to see if you can guess who it is I'm doing an impression of. All right, let me get into character. You got to guess who it is, though. Okay, here it goes. Hey, if you do anything wrong in your life, and I find out about it, I'm gonna try to take everything away from you. And I don't care when I find out. Could be today, tomorrow, 15, 20 years from now. If I find out, you're fucking finished. Who's that? That's you. That's what the audience sounds like to me. That's why I don't be coming out doing comedy all the time, because y'all niggas is the worst motherfuckers I've ever tried to entertain in my fucking life. Oh. I'm goddamn sick of it. This is the worst time ever to be a celebrity. You're gonna be finished. Everyone's doomed. Michael Jackson has been dead for 10 years, and this nigga has 2 new cases. And if you haven't watched that documentary, then I'm begging you, don't watch it. It's fucking gross. I felt like HBO was sticking baby dicks in my ears for 4 hours straight. Really nasty shit. I don't want to know all these things. Turns out, Michael Jackson allegedly likes a long gander at the anus. So they said he stares at people's buttholes. That's what they said. That's how gross the documentary was. I'm gonna say something that I'm not allowed to say. But I gotta be real. I don't believe these motherfuckers. I do not believe it. But let me qualify the statement. I am what's known on the streets as a victim blamer. You know what I mean? If somebody come up to me like, Dave, Chris Brown just beat up Rihanna. I'll be like, well, what did she do? Dave, Michael Jackson was molesting children. Well, what were those kids wearing at the time? I don't think he did it. But you know what? Even if he did do it, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I mean, it's Michael Jackson. I know more than half the people in this room have been molested in their lives. But it wasn't no goddamn Michael Jackson, was it? This kid got his dick sucked by the king of pop. All we get is awkward Thanksgivings for the rest of our lives. You know how good it must have felt to go to school the next day after that shit? Hey, Billy, how was the weekend? How was my weekend? Michael Jackson sucked my dick. And that was my first sexual experience. If I'm starting here, then sky's the limit. I know it seems harsh, but man, somebody's got to teach these kids. There's no such thing as a free trip to Hawaii. He's gonna want to look at your butthole or something. You know why I don't believe it? You know why I don't believe it? Because if Michael Jackson's out here doing all this molesting, then why not Macaulay Culkin? Macaulay Culkin said in an interview that Michael Jackson never did anything inappropriate with him or even around him. Think about that shit. You know, I'm not a pedophile. But if I was, Macaulay Culkin's the first kid I'm fucking, I'll tell you that right now. I'd be a goddamn hero. Hey, that guy over there fucked a kid from Home Alone. And you know how hard he is to catch. My mind's telling me no. She's an amateur in stature, but in practice, she was very professional. She showed up early, which is something I appreciate because I like people to be on time. She was dressed to the motherfucking nines. I mean, I'm transphobic, and even I was like, you look nice. Went up on the stage with all the swag of a professional comedian, grabbed that mic and walked right down the middle and looked at the crowd like a gangster. Man, you should have seen her work. This bitch bombed for 45 minutes straight. And I am not exaggerating, young man. That show was terrible. Stunk. Stunk. And then she brings me on, and you know, I was like a glass of water after a handful of salt. The crowd was happy to see me. I was killing it. But here's what impressed me. Any other comedian I've ever seen, if they had bombed as bad as she did, would have snuck out of the back of the theater and went home and cried or something. And she didn't do that. Not only did she not leave, she found a seat right up in front. You know, when a new comedian watches an experienced comedian in comedy, we call this taking class. And this bitch took my whole class. She sat up there and was laughing as hard as she always laughs, as if nothing bad had even happened to her. And I saw her show. Something bad happened to her. She was drunk. So she starts talking to me while I'm on stage, but the way a person would talk to a television when they were alone. She's talking to me like that. That didn't bother me because I knew her, but the crowd didn't like that shit at all because she sucked. And a guy in the back of the room stood up, and Daphne's hair was dyed blonde at the time, and the guy screamed out, and his energy felt wild as fuck. He said, "Hey, Daphne!" And everybody kind of clamped, like got tense. We didn't know if it was a heckler or active shooter. And he said, "Does the carpet match the drapes?" Yeah, it was fucked up. The whole crowd kind of groaned because it was so, like, mean. Everybody groaned, except for Daphne. She kind of laughed, which was weird. And then she didn't even look all the way back. She said, "Sir, I don't have carpets. I have hardwood floors." Just like that. Just like that. And boy, when she said that shit, it blew the roof off the place. Cut through all the tension. With that one joke, she made up for 45 minutes of a stinker of a show. And after that, she could do no wrong. And I kept on rocking. She kept on talking to me. And then the show became something cooler than a show. It became like a conversation between a black man and a white trans woman, and we started getting to the bomber shit. All them questions that you think about that you'd be afraid to ask, I was just asking them, and she was answering them, and her answers were funny as shit. The crowd was falling out of their chairs. And at the end of the show, I go, "Oh, Daphne," I said, "Well, that was fun." I go, "I love you to death, but I have no fucking idea what you're talking about." The whole crowd laughed, except for Daphne. Now she looks at me like I'm not her friend anymore. Like I'm something bigger than me, like I'm the whole world and a guy. And she said, "I don't need you to understand me." I said, "What?" She said, "I just need you to believe," just like this, she goes, "that I'm having a human experience." And when she said it, the whole crowd kind of gasped. And I gave her the Fight Club look. I said, "I believe you, bitch." Because she didn't say anything about pronouns. She didn't say anything about me being in trouble. She said, "Just believe I'm a person and I'm going through it." And oh, I believe you because it takes one to know one. Then I told the crowd good night, and they start going crazy. And before the applause gets to its crescendo, I say, "And don't forget my opening act, Daphne." And the crowd stood up. And I looked at her, and tears came out of her eyes. She couldn't believe it was happening. I couldn't believe was happening because her show stunk. And it was a great night. I remember the late, great Paul Mooney was there, a bunch of fly-ass comedy niggas was there. And we all went backstage and was just drinking and talking shit and laughing, and Daphne stole the room. She had everyone cracking up, spinning the yarn, telling us all these crazy stories about shit she be into. We all laughing real hard, and then she's telling us and everyone's laughing. I'm looking around, I'm like, oh my God, she is funny. I pulled her aside and I said, you're hilarious. I didn't know that when you were on stage. I said, you're doing some things wrong, but I can help you. I said, anytime I'm in San Francisco, why don't you open the show for me, and I'll just try to give you some pointers, see if you can't work this thing out. And she said, are you serious? I was like, yeah. And she grabbed me real tight, hugged me, squeezed me, and I pushed her all violently because I'm transphobic. I said, boundaries, bitch. When Sticks and Stones came out, a lot of people in the trans community were furious with me, and apparently they dragged me on Twitter. I don't give a fuck, because Twitter's not a real place. And the hardest thing for a person to do is go against their tribe if they disagree with their tribe. But Daphne did that for me. She wrote a tweet that was very beautiful, and what she said was, it was almost exactly what she said. She said, punching down on someone requires you to think less of them. And I know him, and he doesn't. He doesn't punch up, he doesn't punch down, he punches lines, and he's a master at his craft. That's what she said. Beautiful tweet. Beautiful friend. It took a lot of heart to defend me like that. And when she did that, the trans community dragged that bitch all over Twitter. For days, they was going in on her, and she was holding her own because she's funny. But 6 days after that wonderful night I described to you, my friend Daphne killed herself. Oh, yeah. It's a true story. My heart was broken. Yeah, it wasn't the jokes. I don't know if it was them dragging her. I don't know what's going on in her life, but I bet dragging her didn't help. I was very angry at them. I was very angry at her. I felt like Daphne lied to me. She always says she identified as a woman, and then one day she goes up to the roof of a building and jumps off and kills herself. Clearly, only a man would do some gangster shit like that. Hear me out. As hard as it is to hear a joke like that, I'm telling you right now, Daphne would have loved that joke. That's why she was my friend. Well, I have some very bad news for the people in the front rows. I heard that some of you paid as much as $800 for your tickets. Sadly, I did this same show a couple weeks ago in Atlanta for $60 a head. Can you imagine? Nigga, you could have flown to Atlanta, got a hotel, had some dinner, and came back, and you still have a little money left over, niggas. Paid way too much just to see me in this gay-ass neighborhood. All right, let me roll up my sleeves and tell these pussy jokes. Will told me to say there hasn't been this many pussy references in this room since Cats was here. Boy, I gotta tell you, man, I've been doing this set all week, and boy, I've been telling these jokes, and sometimes niggas look like they're in actual pain over the jokes. None of it's that bad to me, but I understand why it could hurt some people's feelings. So tonight, I'm gonna give you an opportunity that I rarely give anybody. I'm gonna let you say whatever it is you need to say to my face, or ask me whatever it is you wanna know. But there are no dumb questions allowed. If you ask a stupid question, you'll be asked to leave. Nah, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Everyone relax. Come on. Oh, yes, sir, in the front.
2 questions. How often do you write? And can I have a cigarette?
All right. First, you may have a cigarette, but remember, this is not jail, motherfucker. This lady right here.
I have a question. Do you remember this scene?
Oh, I do remember that. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. That's a terrible question. This gentleman in the front with the salmon-colored shirt on.
I was wondering if you had any advice for young comedians that you generally give, and...
Are you thinking of doing comedy?
I've never done it before, but watching you has made me want to try it.
I don't know if that's an insult or not.
It's a compliment. It's.
I mean, niggas don't say I've never done brain surgery, but it looked a lot easier than I thought. I'm teasing. All right, here'd be my advice. Okay, I don't know how comedians start nowadays, right? But what I would suggest is just start. And once you start, you can't really stop, no matter what happens, no matter how bad it gets, no matter what people say. You know what I mean? Because comedy is weird like that. You know why I hate watching other comedians do comedy? Not because I hate other comedians, but because I love comedy so much. It's like watching somebody else fuck your girl. And I say, fuck her better than that. Yes, you on the aisle up there, the lady with the long... Yes, you, standing up. I see you. My favorite book of all time, The Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. That guy with the baseball hat.
Marry, fuck, kill, Michelle, Rihanna, Oprah.
Wait, who's Michelle? Oh, Obama. Well, sir, you're putting me in quite the pickle. I can't say I'll fuck Michelle Obama. That's insane. Well, I guess I mean, because I wouldn't kill any of those women. But I'd fuck all three of them. The gentleman in the blue Oxford standing up.
Tell us a story with Charlie Murphy.
Tell a story about Charlie Murphy?
Or your favorite.
Boy, there's so many good Charlie Murphys. You know, the thing with Charlie Murphy is he used to just make us laugh all the time. And I used to ask him about all the old Hollywood shit I was curious about. Like when they used to accuse Michael Jackson, I remember asking once, I go, Charlie, do you think Michael Jackson actually did those things? And he said, let me ask you a question, Dave. He said, say it is illegal to fuck women. How long are you staying out of jail? So God bless Charlie Murphy wherever you are. Charlie, I love you.
Who do you think is going to win the 2020 election?
All right, I'm going to put a pin in this, but I'll tell you right now, fella, I don't know, but I think Trump has a better shot than a lot of people would like to think. I'm just saying, it all depends on how the left talks. The way we're talking is not going to win the fucking ball game. Donald Trump's over there on the right, grabbing handfuls of pussy. Joe Biden can't even smell hair over here. Fuck this side. All right, man, go ahead.
Thank you so much for this show. And
how old are you?
25.
25? Yeah. Boy, don't let R. Kelly see you. He's gonna pee on you by accident. Oh, my bad. I thought she was 15. Yuck. I'm totally joking. I'm sorry.
My question is there anything you've learned from another comedian that you feel like will stay with you for life?
I tell you what, miss, that's a good question. Yes, is the short answer. A longer version of it is this. I was raised by comedians. I started doing stand-up when I was 14. The other day, I went to a comedian's funeral, and I realized he was putting this motherfucker in the ground. that these people are at least as influential to me as my family. I rock with these niggas till the wheel falls off. We fight and we fuss and we are jealous of each other and we get mad at each other, but my life wouldn't have been what it was without each and every one of them, and I consider them my family. That's the answer. Still hadn't figured out exactly how to say what I wanted to say, but I was doing pretty good, and I was doing some Me Too jokes, and a woman stood up from the audience and she was crying. Clearly, it was a white woman. She says to me, you can't say that. It's 200 seat room, it's a very small room. I'm like, what the fuck are you, like, miss, are you okay? What are you doing? She says, you can't say that. I said, yes, I can, it's my show. I'll say whatever the fuck I want. The crowd's like, ooh, like this. And then she gets up from the table and she starts making a big, like, show of just pushing through the aisles and all this stuff. And there's like a curtain right before the front door. And she gets to the curtain and she's crying. It's fucking crazy. She says, I'm sorry I was raped. It's a fucking comedy club. It's like loud farting getting out of an elevator. Nothing funny can happen in here. Now I'm trapped in a room with this woman's fucking stink. And I say, miss, it is not your fault that you were raped, but it's not mine either. Ta-ta, bitch, like this. She storms out. Now the room is very uncomfortable, but I managed to get the crowd back, but I'm like, you know, a little traumatized. Same show, there's a trans woman sitting in the audience. This is a true story. This was like a few weeks ago. I did 6 shows that weekend. This trans woman came to 4 of them. Calls herself Daphne. Man, this chick Daphne was in there cracking the fuck up at everything I said about everybody. It was amazing. She was laughing, and it was fun to watch her laugh. You could tell she was letting go with something that was heavy, and she'd throw her head back, and she'd smile with all her teeth. She was having a great time. And the more fun she had, I felt bad, because I knew I had some trans jokes to unload. And I thought to myself, maybe I shouldn't say these jokes, because I don't want to, like, fuck her evening up. She's having so much fun. But then I thought to myself, well, if I can't say it in front of her, should I say this shit at all? So I let her rip. And to my surprise, Daphne laughed harder at the trans jokes than anybody in the room. In fact, everybody in the room would look at her to make sure it was okay. And I got off stage, I was in the dressing room, I was like, man, this is a fucking weird show. I'm sitting in the dressing room by myself just trying to figure out, like, what the fuck just happened out there? Like, why is it that this one woman can't take any of these jokes and Daphne can take all of these jokes? So weird. And then I realized, Daphne used to be a man. So now I go out of the dressing room and like you can see like all the staff was there like cleaning the club up, the audience had gone, and sitting at the bar by herself was Daphne. And she's like, hey, Dave, come join me for a drink. And I don't want her to think that I'm transphobic or nothing, so I'm like, fuck, I guess I could have at least a drink. And we get some tequila and we're sitting there. And she was fucking cool. Turns out that Daphne, she wants to be a comedian. She was asking me for advice, and I told her advice and all that shit. And then she says to me, she says, boy, you sure do get a bad rap for your trans jokes. I said, Daphne, thank you, but you don't have to say that. I hope I didn't offend you. She goes, no. She said, in fact, I read about you in the New York Times. I said, you did? She said, yeah. She said, I thought it was interesting that they blamed you for R. Kelly. They said you normalized him for telling jokes about him. I go, yeah, they said that. She goes, I wonder why they never said that you normalized transgenders by telling jokes about us. And I'd never thought about that. It never occurred to me. And we started making out. And then, like, I reached up just to see what it felt like. I was like, what? And it felt like pussy, did it? I was just like, Go ahead, ask me a question.
What the fuck you gonna do if Trump get reelected?
What am I gonna do if Trump gets reelected? Probably get a significant tax break. Hey, you wanna know why I don't even talk about Trump in my show? Because that motherfucker is not the hokey pokey. He is not what it's all about. There's millions of people that put him in power, and the ideas that he puts forth are not his own. He's singing poor white people's greatest hits. So why the fuck would I worry about him and not the other millions? Really, you know who I'm gonna vote for next time if things keep going the way it's going is that gay dude. No, Mike Pence. It's a safe place where I could tell some jokes. And I find out that this comedian I know, Chris Tucker, who's in all those Rush Hour movies, I find out that Chris is in San Francisco too at some charity event. So I call him, I'm like, yo, I just saw you at some charity event. I said, I'm doing a show at the Punchline, why don't you come by the club after your event? He's like, cool, Dave, I thought you was dead, nigga, I'll come by. He says, is it okay if I bring some friends? Because, you know, I'm with a lot of people. I go, man, you Chris Tucker. You can bring whoever the fuck you want. And then I show up to the club late that night, and I walk into the dressing room, and sitting in the dressing room is Gavin Newsom, who at the time was the mayor of San Francisco, but now he's the governor of California. And sitting next to him was Kamala Harris, who at the time was the DA of San Francisco. Now she's the senator from California that's front running on the Democratic ticket. And sitting next to her was Al Gore. It's fucking weird. And sitting next to Al Gore was the guys from Google, Sergey, and I don't know how to say these. All right. And it was Chris Tucker and Ben Jealous, who at the time was the president of the NAACP, who was all just at this big charity dinner, and Paul Mooney was drinking scotch. And we all was just in there. And, you know, at first I was a little uncomfortable when we started talking, and we all got along really well. At some point, Kamala Harris says to me, she goes, you know, a friend of mine is announcing his candidacy for president tomorrow. I went to college with him. I'm like, what? I go, Barack Obama? She goes, you've heard of him? I'm like, yo, I just read about this dude. And she goes, yo, yeah, blah, 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 we talking. She goes, you know what? She says, let's call him on the phone. I said, what the fuck? And she picks the phone up and she dials and she's listening like this. And she goes, this is voicemail. And she gives me the phone, she goes, leave him a message. You know, I didn't know what to say. I just said what you say to any black dude that's running for president. You know, stay low, running a zigzag pattern, this kind of shit. And then the last thing I say is, you know what? I said, sir, well, I really do believe you can do this. Like, man, I'm wishing you luck. Now, next day I wake up and go for coffee at a place called the Embarcadero. It's like an eatery by the sea in San Francisco. And I'm walking to the coffee shop and there's a police line and I can't cross the tape. But then I figure, fuck it, I'm Dave Chappelle, so I go into the thing like this. And the police yoke me. These motherfuckers like tackle me immediately. And I see over the police's shoulder Gavin Newsom. I couldn't remember his name, but I remember the night before I had kept teasing him and saying he looked like Christian Bale, the guy from the Batman movies. So I see him and I can't remember the name, so I'm just like, Batman, help! And he stops, he's like, Dave? And then the police see that the mayor knows me, so they all like, oh, sorry about that. And he's like, hey, back up, everybody. And he just picks me up. He's like, I'm really sorry about that. I'm like, I'm fine, don't worry about it. And he's like, listen, I'm here with Prince. Would you like to meet him? I'm like, I know Prince. That's my nigga. And We go around the corner and it was Prince Charles, the Prince of England. I didn't know the protocol of meeting royalty. You're not supposed to touch him. I dapped him up like a nigga. My nigga. Ah! Just hugging him and shit like this, dapping him up, like this. And that nigga was cool too. I was like, it's really fucking weird. And then I was just out there in the upside down, not having no TV show, trying to figure life out. And the election was going on in the background. And this guy, Barack Obama, was picking up steam. This motherfucker was killing it. And I had a chance to go to the last debate on the Democratic ticket. And I went. It's me and Chris Tucker sitting in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's the last three candidates. It was Barack Obama, John Edwards, and Hillary Clinton. Now, Obama's a lot taller than Edwards and Clinton, and he had the center podium. And at one point, they're all on stage, and they start fussing, and Obama goes, look, none of us are perfect, like this. And his hands was like this, and there was light shining behind his head, and the other two candidates was looking up at the nigga, and I was sitting in the audience like, this nigga looks like Jesus. And I realized in that moment that I was looking at the next president of the United States. I was certain of it. I couldn't explain it, but I knew what I was seeing. And I got really excited. And I'm not that kind of guy. I said, I gotta meet this motherfucker. So I stayed. They were all on stage doing interviews, and I just waited. I was waiting and waiting, and then John Edwards was done with his interviews first, because everybody knew he wasn't gonna win. And I see John Edwards, and I said, hey, Senator Edwards, I just want to say hi. And that motherfucker looked at me like, I'm like, fuck you, nigga, you gonna lose anyway. And then he left, and then Hillary Clinton just walked by me in one of them Steve Harvey suits. But Obama was taking forever. Everybody wanted to talk to him. When I knew the media saw exactly what I saw, there was no question about it. That was the guy. I waited and I waited, and finally, must have been over an hour and a half, he finishes his last interview. He's like, man, thank you very much. Good talking to you. And he turns around, and we make eye contact. He sees me, and when he sees me, he looks over, he goes, Dave Chappelle. And Obama did me the same way I did Prince Charles. He dapped me up, and he like bro hugged me, and he pulled me in, and I'll never forget this. He said in my ear, I got your message. Thank you very much, New York City. You know what I said? That's all I said. First of all, I'll tell you right now what I said, and I will tell you that this was not a joke. It's a true story, and I just happened to tell it. All right, what happened was I went to a gallery party, all right? I don't know who in here has ever been rich before, but these are very nice parties. You know, wine and cheese and baller conversation. And there was a few eccentric types, one of which was a very wealthy man that happened to be wearing a dress. I don't know what you call him, man. This is a tranny or drag queen, perhaps. Whatever it was definitely a man. And this man was definitely on drugs. I don't know what kind of drugs he's on, but I knew he had too much. He didn't look good. It's like this, he's like, he looked sick. And all his friends were standing around him, concerned, trying to revive him. I don't know whether it looked like some kind of gay CPR. There was fanning and shit. I saw all this from a distance. Now, I should have minded my own business, but I got curious. I was like, oh. And I went over there. All I said, excuse me, gentlemen, is he okay? And then they looked at me like I was evil. Oh. She is fine. I said, word? Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't know this is what we were doing. Here's my thing. I would support anybody's right to be whoever they feel like they are inside. I'm your ally in that. However, my question is, to what degree do I have to participate in your self-image? Is it fair that I have to change my whole pronoun game up for this motherfucker? That doesn't make sense. Seriously. If I put on an Argyle sweater and I'm like, hey everybody, I feel like a white guy in this sweater and I want some goddamn respect and a bank loan. That's not gonna work. Give a fuck how I feel. Why should I give a fuck how you feel? Nigger is a pronoun. But there was no time for philosophical debate. This was an emergency situation. I said, fine. Sorry, guys. I was just worried because she looks terrible. She just fell off the bench. Appears that her dick is popping out of her dress. You mind if I call an ambulance, champ? I'd rather not be at a party where a tranny ODs. There's too many questions to answer. Okay, I've been through this before. I had a friend from high school. Now, in high school, this guy was a thug, Will, right? He was a fucking dope boy. He did it all. He's a wild dude. People used to be very scared of him. And then after high school, word on the street was he'd come out the closet. I personally didn't believe it. I bring him up because last year, he calls me out of the blue like, yo, what's up, man? I got your number from so-and-so, and I heard you're gonna be in New York doing a show. Could I get some tickets? I was like, fuck yeah, get some tickets, man. How you been? He said, well, we'll catch up at the show, man, but yo, I appreciate it. I'll see you soon. I said, all right, man, take care. And I was about to hang up, and I couldn't resist. I was just like, hey, nigga, I heard you was gay. What's going on with that? And I wish I didn't ask, because he sounded like he was dying to talk about that shit. And he had a long story about it. And it's not that I didn't care, but I was, I don't like talking on the phone. I was watching TV at the same time. So I just wasn't really paying attention like I should. But I was trying to sound supportive, but I didn't really know what to say. So I was just like mumbling shit throughout this conversation. I was just like, nigga, you gay, man. You just gay. Like, This went on for a while, and then finally I had to say something like definitive to get him off the phone. And I was like, hey, man, you know what? Don't let people get you down, all right? And the next time someone tries to make you feel bad about yourself, just remember, everybody fucks funny to somebody. He didn't like that shit. He's like, what the fuck does that mean? I said, huh? He said, you saying I fuck funny, motherfucker? I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying everybody's different. He said, you ain't say different, nigga. You say it funny. What's so fucking funny about the way I fuck? And I said, hey, man, I fuck feet. He said, what? Oh, this is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. I get women to squeeze their feet together like this, and I fuck them right in that little space in their feet. But you can't build a community behind that shit. There's no flag for us. That shit made him laugh. And the next day, after the show, I saw him backstage. He was like, yo, what's up, man? I'm like, oh, shit, what's going on? And he had his buddy with him. He goes, Dave, I want you to meet Manuel. Manuel's my fiance. We're in New York getting married because it's legal here. I said, well, congratulations, fellas. And Manuel was like, gracias. And he went to go get some drinks. And then my buddy looked at me, he was like, so Dave, what do you think? And I started mumbling again. You gay, nigga, you're just gay. He said, yeah, I'm a little nervous about getting married, man. It's a big step. I said, yeah, it is. It's a big step. He said, well, you've been married for a while. You got any advice for us? No, I'm married to a woman. Sorry about that. And they corrected me. He said, no, you married the person that you love. So it's essentially the same. I said, man, the problem with that statement is that it makes the assumption that I love her. But you guys lighten the fuck up. Of course I love my wife. She laughs at this shit. As a matter of fact, she eats and spends this shit. You know what I told him? I told him, I said, you know what you should do, man? First of all, you shouldn't do it. I'm talking about being legally married. It's not that you're gay as much as just legal marriage is a fucking diabolical leverage game in the United States. I'm just being honest. Devoid of religious significance or the idea of love, marriage is nothing but an awful contract that you shouldn't sign. I'm just being real. Because you start out loving each other, and then like 2 years later, you're just building a case against one another for a hypothetical court date that may or may not ever happen. You throw being gay on top of that, that shit is explosive. Like it's that Ray Rice shit. Okay, right after Ray Rice went through all that shit, I was at a party and I met this kid, Michael Sams. You know Michael Sams? Very nice guy. He's the first openly gay NFL player. And Mike's a very nice guy, very brave guy. But when I met him, I couldn't help but thinking, now what's gonna happen when Michael Sams beats his wife up in the elevator? Is that domestic violence, or is that just two niggas working shit out in the elevator? You know what I mean? Anyway, I give all married men the same advice, gay or straight. Get a dog. This dog will love you all the time, but she's not going to. It's real talk. I didn't even know about dogs, and my kids got the dog. They brought him home from the shelter, and I didn't even want him. They're like, "Can we keep him?" I said, "Nope." I said, "Where'd you even get this dog?" They're like, "We got him from the shelter." I was like, "Ugh." Probably something wrong with him. Can't keep him. And then my kids started crying and screaming like the dog had gambling debts. "Please, Dad, if you don't let us keep him, they're gonna kill him." I was like, "Oh." All right, you can keep him. And this dog was a menace. I hated his guts. Then one night I'd smoked a bunch of weed and I was eating a sandwich. And Baba came over. Baba's the dog. He came over and was staring at me. This will make you very uncomfortable if you're just looking at you usually. I had to give him a piece of my sandwich so he'd go away. And that's how we became friends. Now, if you see me walking down the street with Baba, I ain't got no leash or nothing. He walks right next to me. If I stop, he'll stop. And if I go, he'll go. And all my friends are like, "Yo, Dave, that shit is dope. How you train Baba to do that shit?" I've never trained Baba. Just a messy eater. If I drop food and Baba's not around, all I gotta do is call him. "Baba!" He's a black dude's dog, so he doesn't come right away. He peeks first to see what's going on. I gotta tap my foot so he can see the food. "Over here, little buddy." And he's like, "Thanks, Dave." And he'll come get it and run off. Man, I gotta tell you, when I was sitting here watching what all the other honorees have done with their lives, I started feeling like shit. Like, this is terrible. And then Bobo brought me up and started out good with that Ali picture, and then it just, whew. But that coloring book that was in the picture, I know the Ali's are here, that coloring book, my mother has it. And the champ, he signed it. You know, the greatest, he signed it, Muhammad Ali. And his sparring partner was there that day. And his sparring partner signed it, said, "The next heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes." And he was. And 2-year-old Dave Chappelle colored all in that shit and just ruined the book. But I remember part of the book that I remember real vividly, because I asked my mother about it when I was a kid. There's a part where there's a picture of Ali throwing his Olympic gold medal into the Ohio River. That's why it's so weird for me being here. You know, both of my parents were very brilliant. My dad went to Brown in 1955. That's right. He told me at the time he was one of 3 black students. He said one of the guys got accused of a rape that he probably didn't commit, and the other guy killed himself, and Dad said, and I left. And see, that's what makes us Chappelle's great. We know when to quit. They all just live to fight another day. I gotta say, I'm very honored to be here, and I'm very honored to be here with the other honorees. Really, I'm like very humbled by you all, the work that you do, and you all make me want to be better. All of you. And you know, I was gonna stop doing stand-up for a while because 4 comedy specials in a year is like, that's a lot, you know. But you know, shout out to my colleagues in comedy. I just want to say that in a way, this for me belongs to my mother primarily, who was an African American studies professor, and a lot of the content that I say, she raised me well. I'm not an uninformed person. But also, you know, my colleagues in comedy, like comedians have been getting beat up pretty bad recently, and we're somehow nowadays expected to speak with the precision of attorneys or politicians. We are not. I always think of James Baldwin. You know, James Baldwin was one of my favorite writers because he managed to tell white people what they feel like to be around. So I ain't gonna hang up my gloves yet. I think I got one more special in me. So to quote Baldwin, God gave Noah the rainbow sign. It's no more water, it's the fire next time. Thank you very much.
And so if you would, please join me in welcoming Dave Chappelle home again.
Oh, thank you. You know, I speak for a living, and I'm a little nervous today. I wanted to say thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Bishop Green, and thank everyone at Allen University for hosting me today, because it feels special, right? When I think of this great grandfather that I've heard about in my life, but never actually touched his legacy. So it's like the product of his loins coming to meet the product of his work. And it's an important day for me personally. And I know a lot of you guys are students, and I just want to tell you I'm the first person in my family to not go to college. And as the president has told you, I've done outstanding in spite of that. But one thing I did want to say, and one thing today just made me think about, for all the things that I've done, I'm most renowned for what I didn't do. I've made decisions in my career that a lot of people have called insane. 2004, had a $50 million deal on the table, and in a crisis of conscience, flipped the table over and walked away. Went to South Africa. Everyone said I was running away from the money. That is not true. In fact, I still want that money. The idea that I wanted to just share with you guys is the idea that sometimes you do what you think is best, whether anybody understands it or not. I heard a story about my father where someone told me he used to do statistics for a company in DC. The company he did statistics for started doing business with the South African government, so he quit his job. It's caused a lot of problems between him and his wife. It's hard for a man when he can't provide for his family the way he wants to, and he suffered through it. And a generation later, when I had my crisis of conscience, I was able to go to a free South Africa and get away from the heat. This idea that what you do in your lifetime informs the generations that comes after you is something I keep thinking about, something that is so much bigger than just ourselves. And today I'm standing in front of you guys, and I know you guys are like, oh, I know you're bored. But I see family of mine in the front row some who I've never met, and I just realize how all of us are connected. That my great-grandfather built something more substantial than buildings. He built a community, and he built, more importantly than a community, he built a way. You know, so I'm very grateful. Very grateful. Hello, police. I just saw him saying, you know what I mean? He's standing over like, so this is what black people talk about. I just want you guys to remember, you know, that right now there's this thing where ethics aren't what they used to be. This idea that people are trying to replace the ideas of good and bad with better or worse. And that is incorrect. You gotta keep your ethics intact because good and bad is a compass that helps you find the way. And a person that only does what's better or worse is the easiest type of person to control. They are a mouse in a maze that just finds the cheese. But the one who knows about good and bad will realize that he's in a maze. So, that being said, I just hope that all of you guys transcend whatever you see as your obstacles and that you live outstanding lives and that you stay connected to your communities because you have so much power there, and that you grow your communities and you diversify your communities, and that you don't let anybody tell you you can't or to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid because you can't be brave or courageous without fear. The idea of being courageous is that even though you're scared, you just do the right thing anyway. So in 2004, I walked away from $50 million, and in November, I made a deal for $60 million. So, although I am not the most famous comedian of my time, I would like to know what their great-grandfathers did. I'm very proud today. Thank you very much. Boy, comes as a complete surprise. I mean, I read all the reviews and they
Dave Chappelle is here. His sketch comedy show has been called the funniest half hour on television. Elvis Mitchell of the New York Times says Dave Chappelle isn't content just to play the race card. He shuffles the entire deck. Here is a look at a sketch from Chappelle's show.
Some people just know black people, right? Yeah, I'm serious. They got like gut instincts. Some people know black people. But who are those people? We don't know. So we got some people, and we put them to the test. Now, what you're about to see is absolutely real. These are real people. This is not actors. This is the real deal. Give it up for my new game show. I know black people. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
How can black people rise up and overcome?
How can they rise up and overcome? Oh, can they?
That is correct.
Reparations.
That is acceptable.
This is a rap lyric?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, this is a general
an
question.
Actual question.
All right. There's a complex answer there.
That is correct.
Staying alive.
That is correct. That is correct.
Or stop cutting each other's throat.
That also is correct. How can black people rise up and overcome?
Get out and vote?
That is incorrect.
I'm pleased to welcome Dave Chappelle to this table for the first time. Welcome.
Thank you, Charlie. Good to be here,
Great
man.
to be here, man. I'm telling you. I have met your extraordinary family outside.
Thank you.
This high, this high, this high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wife, the 2 sons. Who would have known that a guy with a show like this would be a father?
There you go. And a good one, I bet.
Yeah, I'm involved.
Is home, where do you live?
Oh, I live in Ohio. Right. I'm a resident of Ohio.
Do you actually sleep there?
Well, like 6 months out of a year.
Yeah.
Ideally, I'll come here, I'll do the show.
Right.
Then I'm going on tour later tonight.
Right.
Check your local comedy listings. And then I'm gonna go home, man. I like to go back to the farm. It's one of those things like even Superman has a place in the North Pole where he can relax and be himself.
Right.
And it is good for me and my family.
To have that place.
In contrast to what I do, it's just kind of sane and normal.
Yeah. You say that your material is more cultural than political.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, look, we live in a country that is incredibly culturally diverse, more so than racially diverse. You know, you could look at even in white culture, there's so many subcultures, so many different cultures that might not even interact, even though they're all the same race. Black culture is the same. Tupac doesn't hang out with the Huxtables or whatever.
Right.
But you know,
they never knew each other at all.
But you got to bridge the gaps, man.
So there was within one race, but very different cultures.
Right.
One was the hip hop community. One was sort of suburban.
Right, and even
upper middle class.
Right, and even within partisan politics, there's people who I'm sure represent different subcultures within America. And I think that the comedy we do, more so than political, just deals with how these things in pop culture are absorbed by these subcultures.
Yeah. But here's the interesting thing: how much of it is just is about black African Americans being black, the relation, like the skit we just saw? Is it half of it?
No. Well, this is the thing. You got to remember, the show was written primarily by me and one other person.
A white person.
A white person. Now, I'm glad you said that because I found that it was interesting. For people who say that, you know, I play this race card, I don't consider it a card. I think it's interesting that every publication, with the exception of USA Today, that I've read something about my show in, is compelled to mention the fact that my writing partner is white. People just think.
Now, why do you think they're compelled to do that?
People think in terms of race because the show is so racially charged.
Right.
They're amazed that a white person and a black person can be cohorts. And
yeah, I agree with you about race card. When you say race card, it's as if you're using your race for either to beat somebody up. Or,
yeah, it's too dismissive.
It's dismissive, exactly.
They're saying I'm being divisive, and that that
even though the person who said that is an African American himself was Mitchell.
Right. No. Well, yeah. When he said I wasn't offended, but normally I feel like it's just kind of divisive, and it's a real subtle way to dismiss any credibility of what I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, the show itself is just what we just saw. It's you doing a kind of introduction of a bunch of skits.
Right. Now, the thing is, originally the show was always supposed to be a real personal show, which is one of the reasons why there's primarily 2 people writing it.
Right.
Because you can't hire 12 people and
To
be
write
like
a personal story.
Right.
It'll,
my point
it'll
of
lose
view.
the voice.
Exactly. And last year we were establishing a voice. That and the fact that I don't want to read through a stack of papers and try to figure out who's going to be the funniest guy on paper.
Who were you influenced by? I mean, I would assume you got to say Richard Pryor, because it seems that not to be influenced by Richard Pryor is not to have any
comic work in America, whether they know it or not, was influenced by what he's done.
And what was it about him that made him so powerful and and influential? The genius?
He spoke the way that people speak. He took a very specific set of circumstances and conveyed them so that people who didn't even live those circumstances could understand what he was talking about. Because he had such a human element to his work.
Yeah.
He changed the way that comedians engage their audience, the way they pace the stage. He brought a lot of things to comedy. He's kind of like Coltrane for comedy, like the last innovator.
Yeah. He would go up and down the stage, all the way across the stage. He wouldn't just stand there.
Right, and he had that thing where if you watch his show, you felt like he was talking directly to you. Yeah. Even if there was 1,000 or 2,000 people in the room with you. He just, the way he engaged an audience just was very intimate, no matter how big the venue.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they can't honor him enough. Take a look at this. This is a frontline parody from our own PBS. Here it is. Clayton Bigsby.
He was the only Negro we'd ever had around here. So we figured we'd make it easier on Clayton by just telling him and all the other blind kids that he was white.
And he never questioned it.
Why would he?
You've written 4 books now.
I've written 6 books. They've published 4.
What would you say is the overall message of your books?
Sir, my message is simple. Niggers, Jews, homosexuals, Mexicans, Arabs, and all kinds of different chanks stink, and I hate it.
I noticed you referred to African Americans. What exactly is your problem?
How much time you got, buddy? Where would I start? Well, first of all, they're lazy, good-for-nothing tricksters, crack-smoking swindlers, big butt-having, wide-nosed, breathing all the white man's air. They eat up all the chicken. They think they're the best dancers, and they stink. Did I mention that before?
Yes, I believe you did, sir.
Matter of fact, my friend Jasper told me one of them coons came by his house to pick his sister up for a date. He said, "Look here, nigger, that there's my girl. Anyone has sex with my sister, it's gonna be me."
So the point is...
I like that sketch because it doesn't draw any conclusions. Yeah. It just paints a portrait of an insane dude. Yeah. It's based off of true stories, based off of my grandfather in reverse.
In reverse?
Yeah, my grandfather, if you saw him, he looks like a white man. For all I know, he is a white man. Right. He was born in a white hospital in 1911, so at least one of his parents were white.
Right.
As far as he knows, he's a black person. He's blind from birth. He was raised in black neighborhoods.
He was told he was black.
Right. He lives a black person's life.
Well, here's somebody who's told
and
they were white.
told the opposite.
Right, right.
So I just figured, what if someone...
The idea of using the N-word so much, is it simply because is there some goal in doing that?
Absolutely not.
None.
Nah, you know...
If you use it so much, it'll somehow take away from the...
I think that's a byproduct of it. You know, see, I've been to entire symposiums on, like, the appropriateness of this word.
Right.
And I have never in my life experienced a word that draws so many different feelings out of people, black and white, you know.
But white comedians can't do it.
Absolutely not. I mean, they'd have to be really inventive and careful. Lenny Bruce did it.
Yeah.
Lenny Bruce made a good point about it. about the power that people give words.
Richard Pryor used it.
Richard Pryor used it. Richard Pryor wasn't making a point. That's just the way
he was using the
spoke.
vernacular he knew.
Right, exactly. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, there are people that speak that way. That's one of the subcultures in America. Right, it's a rather large subculture.
And it's spoken more among African Americans than it is among
and
any other culture.
Right. So the subculture that is in the top upper echelons of these media machines might deem it inappropriate for use. Meanwhile, people who consume their products on the street say it all the time. They know what context to say it. They know who and when and why and where they're saying it. And just because the people who own it, well, like, where am I supposed to go to be myself on television?
But you'd be offended if you walk out of this building and somebody says something to you using the N-word.
Absolutely. I'd be fighting mad.
You bet.
Because see, if I see another black person,
you're not using,
and I greet him that way, I don't think he would assume that I was trying to offend him. If a white person greets in that way, it's either A, it's malicious, it's bringing up this, it's bringing up whatever the history is, or B, it's just insensitive and inconsiderate.
Or C, stupid.
Oh yeah, just C,
it just
stupid.
doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
There are a few white people out there, I'm sure, black friends, that say that with their black friends with no consequence. But that's in the confines of their own personal friendships.
Right, exactly. All right, take a look at this. This is a sketch that examines what it would be like if a white Ozzie and Harriet family had an unusual last name.
This is my favorite.
Is your favorite?
Yeah,
all right, roll tape.
People come up to me, like, white people would come up to me like, man, that sketch you did about them niggers, that was hilarious. Take it easy. You know, I was joking around. You start to realize these sketches in the wrong hands are dangerous. You know, and that N-word is a doozy, especially for us black folks. You know, a lot of different feelings come up when they hear that word. But I'm thinking, is it because that black people actually identify themselves as N-words? No, I don't know. Maybe. But what if we just use the word for other people? Would it be so bad? I don't know. So I made a sketch. It's about a white family whose last name happens to be nigger. That's all. Let's see how offensive the word sounds now. Morning, niggas.
Why, it's Clifton, our colored milk man.
And it's my favorite family to deliver milk to. The niggers. Something sure smells good. You niggas cooking?
We sure are.
There's some leftover bacon if you'd like some.
Ooh, none for me. I know better than to get between a nigga and their pork. Might get my fingers bit. Here you go. I hate to bother you about this, but, well, you didn't pay your bill last week. And I know how forgetful you niggas are when it comes to paying bills.
Golly, Clifton, it slipped my mind. Here you go. Sorry about that.
Oh, nigga, please. Nigga, please.
And one of your favorites.
I love that sketch.
You started performing when you were 14?
Yeah. Yeah. I started real young. It was one of these things where when I was 14, there was an article about Bill Cosby in Time magazine. And I was writing a book report on him. And in reading about the guy, I realized that being funny was a marketable skill. Like, I realized this guy came from nowhere.
Yeah.
And he was like a billionaire.
Yeah, exactly.
Just from telling jokes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. It was one of those things. And I just never stopped.
Well, but did you have a natural instinct for it, or did you simply say, you know, if I get in there early and I work my butt off, I'll be okay?
Comedians are born. There's some.
Are they really born?
Yeah. Now, there's some guys, look, I'm going to tell you like this. With the run the risk of sounding cocky, I have a natural ability for this that not every guy necessarily has. Some guys I see that are real funny that work tremendously hard to be that funny. Some guys literally can just talk funny.
They have that X factor.
It's a certain thing, you know. And a guy like Eddie Murphy, who might be one of the funniest dudes I've ever spoken to in casual conversation. And I mean, this guy is just like his talent is enormous. Like if you meet him, you forget. okay, you're one of the biggest grossing comedy stars of all times in the world. He is incredibly funny.
Yeah.
There's another guy that works real hard that'll get a sitcom or he'll get a shot just by merit of showing up and by putting the work in. He'll get a shot, but he'll never be like Eddie Murphy.
Roll tape. This is a sketch in which you get a call from Miss Oprah.
Hello?
Dave, it's Oprah.
Oh. Hey, what's up, girl?
Look, Dave, I'm pregnant.
Are you sure it's mine?
No, Dave, listen, it's yours.
Gotcha, bitch.
What?
Hold on 1 second. All right, look, over. I'm gonna fly to Chicago tomorrow, okay? But I'm gonna need you to send me a ticket.
I'll fly you out.
One, baby. Could you have a limousine pick me up at the baggage claim? Because I don't have no cab money to get from the airport to your house.
Okay, sure thing.
Thanks, boo. Oprah? I love you, baby.
I love you too, David Chappelle.
All right. I'm gonna go to work and tell everybody the good news tomorrow, and I'll see you in Chicago. Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody, got an announcement to make. Ding, 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 ding. I quit. Excuse me. Got a quick word with you. Kiss my ass. Can you type a memo of that and send it around? I quit.
Dave, what's gotten into you?
Oh, Sally, it's not what's gotten into me. It's what's gotten into Oprah. My seed, son. I'm rich, bitch.
We know where the payoff is, don't we?
Oh, yeah. I love that sketch, too.
Yeah. Now, how long? You signed a new contract with Comedy Central?
No, I'm done.
You're done?
I'm technically unemployed. It's one of those things, man.
Good. Weren't you doing well?
It was doing great. They want to renegotiate.
No, but why don't you want to renegotiate?
Well, I got to take a minute. Like, I just put the show to bed last night.
Yeah.
And the way people like this show and what it's like to do a show like this, I don't think people would ever understand the amount of work that we put into it. That's why I appreciate my show, you know? And I hope that the big story from this is that I'm a guy that has done 11 television show pilots. Went out to Hollywood. Disney signed me up a few times. Universal signed me up. Done one for Fox. I've done one for this one, for that one. And they always liked me. They always like, yeah, Dave Chappelle, he's really funny. Maybe he's like an Archie Bunker type, or maybe we can do like Seinfeld with him, or maybe we can, a million ideas they had, none of which worked at all. At all. And the whole time, when I'm the guy, I would say, well, I have an idea about how I want to do this. And I was the last person they wanted to hear from. They would say things like, people watch television for regularity. So I was more from your school. I want a show that can be anything.
Right.
No, people don't like that.
I know.
Our research shows and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I know. And then they finally, after all these years, I get an opportunity to do a show. And Comedy Central says, do what you want. And it was overwhelmingly successful. Overwhelmingly, like the best case scenario for what could have happened. We're the #1 show on the network. I go down the street and people are saying the stuff from the night before,
right?
Screaming it at me, and it was two guys who were virtually just not being used.
Yeah, maybe you got to go to the source. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Great
you
to have
so
you.
much, man.
Pleasure.
Pleasure. It's an honor to be here, man.